As you are aware, the New South Wales Premier tasked me in the Sea-Econ role, State Emergency Operations Controller, to investigate the circumstances of the Ruby Princess docking in Sydney on the 19th of March. Over the past 48 hours, I've reviewed several 000 calls to ambulance, numerous radio transmissions, emails, various forms relating to Biosecurity Act and an external health review. There are strong national and state laws for docking cruise ships in New South Wales. In addition to these laws, New South Wales Health adopted new national protocols in early March for cruise ships relating to COVID-19. The enhanced measures include the reporting of undiagnosed respiratory illness among passengers or crew that are clinically compatible with COVID-19. And why is it only clinically compatible? And that's because ships can't test definitively for COVID-19. The clinical criteria is fever, acute respiratory infection, shortness of breath, cough or sore throat with or without fever. So the key question that remains unanswered, and a criminal or coronial investigation will need to be conducted: was Carnival or crew transparent in contextualising the true patient-crew health conditions relevant to COVID-19? Pratique is the international licence to enter a port on the assurance from the captain to the authorities that the vessel is free from contagious disease. This all commenced on the 18th with a 000 call from a member of Carnival to 000 New South Wales ambulance. There was a 17-minute conversation about two passengers that required medical assistance from the ship. After that call, an ambulance supervisor concerned in terms of the terminology around the infectious nature of some of these passengers, he escalated the matter. He did an outstanding job. He then contacted New South Wales Police Marine Area Command, who also were concerned in relation to the language, given there were a number of cruise ships either underway or off the New South Wales shores. There were a number of phone calls between ambulance, New South Wales Police and the New South Wales Port Authority. And can I say, the New South Wales Port Authority did an exceptional job in trying to get to the bottom of the facts in relation to this case. They made contact with the ship on numerous occasions. They actually stopped the ship from coming into Sydney Harbour without further medical information. They made contact with operations manager from Carnival, and on each case they were informed that COVID-19 wasn't an issue on the ship. So from my perspective, there are many unanswered questions, and I certainly can't answer those for you today, but the records on the ship between the captain and the captain's doctor, there are thousands of witnesses out there who were passengers on the ship who will have crucial information in relation to their health coming off the ship. At the end of the day, we have strong border protection to protect the people of New South Wales from viruses coming in from another country. And we've never been more aware than we do at the moment. So I'll open for questions.
Will there be a criminal investigation?
Yes. Detective Chief Inspector Jason Dickinson from the Homicide Squad I'll hand over all the information that I've collected over the last 48 hours to him tomorrow, and Deputy Commissioner Dave Hudson will make contact with the New South Wales State Coroner.
Commissioner, do you believe a crime has been committed, and if so, which one?
Look, from my perspective, it is too early to tell. There is clear evidence that Corona-19 has been brought off that ship. There's clear evidence now that when it stopped in New Zealand, that Corona-19 has come off that ship, and that we know that at least 10 people have died in Australia from COVID-19. The only way I can get to the bottom of whether our national biosecurity laws and our state laws were broken is through a criminal investigation.
You're saying that the Port Authority ambulance police did the right thing, an outstanding job. Is it Carnival that you're investigating explicitly?
The investigation will look into the actions of every agency. In 48 hours, I can only turn so many rocks. But it really comes down to that principle that if someone has a fever, acute respiratory infection, shortness of breath, cough, sore throat with or without fever, then they should be considered someone potentially with COVID-19.
Do you suspect that Carnival is underplaying the symptoms?
We will only know by getting the ship's records, the records from the doctors on the ships, and obviously there are over a couple of thousand people who were passengers on the ship who have come off.
So you say that
there were no. There in each case when the court spoke to Carnival, they said there's no suspected cases on board, and clearly there were or there would have been. We had somebody taken off on a stretcher, and she was one of the first to die. So clearly, are you saying that on the face of it, it seems that Carnival wasn't really telling the truth?
Well, there seems to be absolute discrepancies between the information provided by Carnival and what I would see is the benchmark for the laws that the federal government and the state government put in place in terms of protecting Australians from cruise ships when coronavirus had started.
Commissioner, you talked a really tough line when it comes to the cruise ships. Everything from, sending them home, saying they don't pay taxes, they might not be entitled to healthcare, things like that. Are you sure it's appropriate given that there could be a humanitarian issue with treating these the staff and people on board?
Yeah, and I've had said it's been a vexed issue for me, and that's why I've taken every matter personally. We've extracted another person today who needs medical assistance, and we'll continue to take people off who need medical assistance. No one has been denied that, and no one will be denied that.
So you've taken another crew member off today?
That's correct.
And what is the plan then for the Ruby Princess as it currently stands?
Yeah, we sent on a third health provider, Aspen, in relation to that. They've delivered a 6-page report, which is about isolation on the ship. They put a very good plan in place. The ship can manage a certain amount of crew members. They have very good health systems on these ships, so they can manage a certain amount. And I've given an undertaking that once they reach the peak of that amount, we will continue to take people off and treat them properly.
So it will be, in effect, a hospital ship, is that right? And then each time their resources are too stretched, you'll be taking people off, is
Absolutely.
Do you know how many staff members are showing symptoms of coronavirus on board?
And obviously that fluctuates with someone feeling better and then someone coming on, but it's around the high hundreds, so nearly up around 200.
Will ministers like Minister Hazzard or Ports Minister be investigating as part of the coronial criminal investigation?
There'll be a number of witnesses in this case, both federally and from a state perspective, absolutely.
So ministers will be interviewed?
We'll certainly be asking questions, just like to be sure from a minister's perspective, you're not a decision maker. My minister's not a decision maker in terms of operational decisions. So, in terms of asking the minister the philosophies behind health's response, that's okay. But he's not operationally, like my minister's not operationally engaged in making those 24/7 decisions.
What information do you have around the process you're talking about of potentially taking crew members, infected crew members off the ship? What information do you have around our capacity to deal with that?
So I'm at the State Operations Centre. Daily I'm sharing information with Dr Kerry Chant and Health in relation to our health capacity. So we're balancing that to ensure at the same time we're increasing our ICU ventilated health capacity every day. We're getting more ventilators, more ICU beds online with the private health system coming on board. We're in a very good position.
Commissioner, how many people on the ship are in requiring sort of medical treatment in an intensive care sort of way, as opposed to nearly 200 with symptoms? How many of them are genuinely sick?
Yeah, look, we know at this stage that 10 people who've come off the Ruby in Australia have lost their lives, multiple who have come off the Ruby in New Zealand.
Sorry, I mean crew, Commissioner.
The crew.
The crew who are still on board.
Yes.
How many of them are in a bad way? And are you pulling off anyone who's in a bad way?
Absolutely, and my understanding is they've all been stabilised and are in good condition.
And you say, Commissioner, you say there's about almost 200 that are infected? As in-
Who are showing symptoms, and obviously part of this is swabbing them to find out if they have the virus.
Do you have a number on how many, though, that we know are infected? Do you know that figure?
Oh, I can get that figure for you. Sorry, I don't have it on me right now.
But it's in the dozens, though, is it? Or
What? Sorry?
it's in the dozens?
I don't want to guess, but I can get that information for you.
Has everyone on board, all the crew, been swabbed at this point?
My understanding is we're working through that process. We're trying to get the ship into a better location, a more stable location. Trying to do this type of activity on the ocean is very difficult. It's dangerous. The Marine Area Command, playing a lead role in that. But we're trying to find a location so over the next 10 days, then we can make it a much safer. And they need medical supplies and other things on a regular basis as well.
Will this vessel need to be...
Stationing it in the harbour or bringing it, docking?
Yeah, we will hopefully find a safe port and dock it, certainly not in Sydney Harbour. There are a number of ports. We do need to be obviously mindful that if they need medical attention, that our major hospitals are in the Sydney metropolitan area, but that is our goal at the moment.
There's no getting away from the fact that this has been a political blame game now. Is there a concern for you that either yourself in your office or the police force will be dragged into it and politicised as part of this? Because we've got health and federal agencies, state and federal agencies now blaming each other and the Ruby. Are you concerned about that? What are you going to do?
Yeah, for mine, it'll run one of two ways. The coroner will oversight this anyway because there are 10 deaths relating from the Ruby. I mean, that's a significant amount of deaths for one incident. So you will have that oversight from the coroner, which I think is so important to give the 7.5 million people of New South Wales confidence that, I hope they do trust their police force, but there will be coronial oversight in relation to this.
Is Carnival cooperating, handing over?
I've received a letter from Carnival through the Premier's office where they said they will give me any information that I need going forward, which is wonderful, and we'll need emails and we'll need text messages and we'll need doctors' information and correspondence between the doctor, obviously, and the ship's captain. But the reality is you think about the thousands of witnesses who are out there that came off the ship will be crucial to that, and please have the confidence to contact Crime Stoppers and make contact with us.
Is it disappointing to you that not one of these agencies has actually stepped up and taken responsibility off their own back and said, we stuffed up, but we've got these better processes in place, and it's come to this kind of criminal investigation?
Yeah, look, I suppose one important thing is, from the New South Wales state perspective, the minute this occurred, Premier stood up, put police in charge of the ports and the airports in terms of border control, and we haven't seen this happen again. I think that's the important thing because coronavirus is not over, and we still have planes landing every day and hundreds of Australians returning, which is important that we manage that with that same sort of humanitarian perspective. We will continue, from a police perspective, they will look at all of those agencies. It's not just about finishing on Carnival or finishing on person X. It will have to look at all the touch points to get to the bottom of it. And there will be lessons learned, I have no doubt.
Commissioner, the government has been keen to point out that the deaths that have occurred have all been from people who were infected on board the ship, not as a result of community transmission and the decision to let people disembark and go out into the world. But it sounds like from what you're saying that your investigation is going to include those deaths. Is that part of your criminal investigation?
We'll have to certainly look at the tracing of the transmission because any death as a byproduct of that would have to be considered in the investigation.
Last few questions, thanks, Phil.
Commissioner, just with the Easter holidays coming up, just wondering what measurements the police are going to be putting in place in terms of making sure that there's not mass movements of people on highways out of Sydney and across the state.
Yeah, thanks.
Are you considering roadblocks and anything like that?
The Deputy Premier has been strong on this and is the greatest advocate for regional New South Wales, but we're not welcome. So let's stay at home. I know that's challenging for us. It's going to be a long school holidays, but the reality is that the transmission of disease, and we're seeing it now, areas of Sydney Metro where there's high levels of exercise happening, there's high levels of transmission. I understand Sydney-siders' perspective, isolation, we need a break, we need to exercise. Country New South Wales has been spared this at the moment. There's such an important part in terms of from agriculture and so many other areas. They've been through a lot with the bushfires. I think we owe them some isolation at this stage. And no doubt when this is over, they'll need us equally as important that we all get back to country New South Wales.
Would you be doing random checks of say, people's IDs to, make sure that they're not from Sydney?
Yeah, we will. I feel as though at the moment we are getting good levels of compliance. The exercise issue is a complex one because we want people to get out and manage their mental health at the same stage. But you look at the transmission rates around our beaches, around those areas, it's much, much higher than it is in other areas generally. So, yeah, we will be stopping people, and if you don't have a good reason to be where you are, then you could face a $1,000 fine. But as I keep saying, we'd much rather work with the community than be issuing fines.
Commissioner, are you at all aware of the ability to use phone tracking to keep watch of people? There's been a discussion from Vodafone
I feel
about
as
that
though
today.
that we're really sort of testing the public support from a policing perspective. I am not asking for any more measures around tracking people, to be honest with you. I know Singapore and other countries have used that well. Maybe a great strategy for when this is over and we open our borders to international travellers. Maybe that's a really good position for it. But I just think at the moment, we're in a challenging space around isolation and police powers and the community coming on the journey. We don't want to lose them either. Community policing is so important to us.
Commissioner, just on your investigation again, I appreciate that it's at very initial stages, but what sort of offences do you have in the back of your mind? Are you looking at criminal negligence, or what sort of offences are being investigated here?
Yeah, look, it's a good point. So you've got overarching biosecurity acts from a national or federal perspective, and then you would have state legislation in terms of borders, and then that criminal negligence type crimes. But really, as you said, we're at the beginning. I haven't even handed over the evidence I've collected thus far, and there's a lot more work to be done.
And just in terms of the ship, the other ships, the 5 ships left overnight, if you believe that they've left and you've really just got to now to deal with the Ruby Princess?
Yeah, I am. I mean, it takes a lot of pressure off me balancing the public health system and what we can handle for the people of New South Wales. Yeah, it does take pressure off without a doubt. And the Ruby Princess at the moment, ironically now, I need it because there's an enormous amount of evidence on it, so I didn't think I'd be saying that.